Have you ever wanted to learn how to score like Link King? Pass like Eric.
Has some room. Waits, takes the pass to Quad.
Defend like Nova.
Oh, sir, what a horrible mistake giving Nova. Oh, Nova breakaway!
Goalie like the great Elder Sage.
To keep their team alive. Can they do it? Does that one front take the shot and a big save?
Or dribble like yours truly.
Try to find a lane, take his time, hits a snipe, and there it is!
If so, then you've come to the right place, because this is Mondays with Mets. Welcome everybody to the first episode of Mondays with Mets. I'll be joined later on by Zach Smack and Elder Sage, so shout out to them for helping me out with this inaugural episode of Mondays with Mets. In this episode, we'll be going over the fundamentals of Zealot hockey. By fundamentals, I mean the basics of Zealot hockey. The things you really need to know before you start playing this game at a competitive level. First, we'll go over settings, things like hotkeys and your display options. Next, we'll go over definitions and terminology, so you can understand what other players are talking about. Then, we'll go over ability usage, that being when to properly use your boost, your one-timer, etc. Not just when to use them, but when not to use them as well, just as important. After that, we'll go over the basics of rotational play. If you don't know what that means, don't worry, we'll go over it. And then we'll finish with some concluding thoughts, maybe some drills that you can practice, and a preview of next week's episode. So let's get started. First, we're going to go over settings. I know this seems kind of boring, but it's important. You might learn something new. So in the bottom left of the screen, you'll see the settings menu. You open this, and the first thing you want to make sure you have on is cursor boost. Because without cursor boost, it's almost impossible to play goalie at a high level. Okay, I'm going to turn it off, and then you'll see the difference. See how I have to turn and then press boost. Now watch with cursor boost on how much easier it is. I can just keep my cursor here and then save the shot. It's so much easier. So without cursor boost, you have to right click and then you have to boost. With cursor boost, you just aim and then you boost. It makes it much easier. So the next thing I recommend turning on is hide name tag. So look at my Zealot. I'm going to turn that off. You see what it does is it keeps your name above your Zealot. The reason why I recommend turning this on is because it makes it much easier to see the puck. Makes it easier to dribble when you have other Zealots around you. It makes it easier to see the puck. You don't have that name tag blocking enemy sticks, things like that. It just makes it easier to see what's going on. I also highly recommend putting mirrored camera on. What mirrored camera does is it keeps this as your team's net all times, and it keeps you always attacking this way. So what's this good for? It's good for developing muscle memory. If you're always attacking in the same direction, you're able to learn muscle memory at a more rapid rate because you're always attacking in the same direction. You're always using the same angles. You're always looking the same way. It just makes it easier to learn. So I highly recommend, especially for a new player, to turn that on as soon as possible. So another thing that most people would recommend turning off is show ability buttons. If you look at the bottom, you'll see the ability buttons down here. Some people say like they'll get in the way when they're skating, so they like having to turn it off so they can't press them. You see that? So this basically turns them invisible. And for the cooldowns, it'll show like a bar. You can see how I just used my boost button and it's showing the bar down there, W, one timer. See, personally, I leave ability buttons on because I just find it easier to keep track of the cooldowns with the buttons instead of the bars. So it's kind of personal preference. If you're new, you might want to turn the ability buttons off because you'll probably get used to it quicker than someone like me. I would have to play without them on for a while to get used to the bars. So this might be something that you want to turn off. So one final thing I would recommend, it's definitely not necessary, is switching your hotkeys to Q, W, E, and R. The default, of course, is ZXCV, which is on the bottom row. I just think using the top row for your hotkeys is much more comfortable. I see people often complain about getting like wrist pain or hand pain. I never have an issue with that. I think it might be at least partially caused by using the top row hotkeys opposed to the bottom row. If you're a veteran player, maybe you don't want to switch. You're probably very used to using the bottom row. But if you're a new player, give the top row a chance. You might like it. You might find it more comfortable. So let's review what we just went over with the settings. The first thing you want to do, make sure you have cursor boost enabled. Do not try playing goalie without cursor boost. It will not be fun. The next thing, hide your name tag. Just makes it easier to handle the puck, to dribble, to see what's going on. Next, mirrored camera. Highly recommended, especially for a new player. If you're a veteran player, you're probably used to playing the way you play. You might not need it. For a new player, definitely turn it on. It'll help you develop muscle memory at a much more rapid rate. And then these final two, I recommend. Not necessary, but you might want to try them out. Show ability buttons disabled, gives you more room to click. And hotkeys Q, W, E, and R, that's the top row. Recommended. Personally find it much more comfortable, easier to click. So give it a try, see how you like it. And now we're going to go over some definitions. Yes, I know, more very exciting stuff. Let's start with abilities. You probably think you know the abilities inside and out if you're a new guy. You might not. So let's see. So everybody knows what one-timer does, but not everybody necessarily uses it in the proper way, the proper timings, or all of its uses. Everybody knows that it's useful for scoring, but especially at the lower levels, you don't see people using it for passing, for dribbling, or for clearing that much. So let's take a look at a really clean, standard one-timer example from Eric to Quackster.
Eric with the puck, has some room, waits, takes the pass to Quackster, who one-times it bottom corner, and they have found a way to crack Megaton. Beautiful goal on their part.
So that one-timer worked for a few reasons. First off, Eric made it like a deceptive pass behind the defense. The goalie wasn't necessarily ready for it, and the defense wasn't quick enough to stop the pass. Secondly, the pass had a lot of power on it, so the one-timer, of course, as a result, had a lot of power on it as well. Third, the goalie used his shield, so he was kind of rooted for like a half second. We'll get more into that later on when we get into goaltending, but basically when you use your shield, you're kind of rooted for like a split second, if you will, where you can't really move without boosting. So Quackster saw the tiny gap that he left there, and he just slammed it in with the one-timer. That's a very standard, well-executed one-timer. I think generally people get the idea there. They understand that usage. We're going to go more in depth with one-timer. We're going to look at how to use it in passing next.
Swag has it. He's going down to Nova. Mets! Oh my goodness! Mets finds the shot. And that's a 2-goal lead for the Core Hall War Pigs. What a one-timer pass. Like, honestly, that...
So I personally love one-timer passes. I think even at high levels they don't get used enough. The same principle applies to passing as it does with scoring with one-timer. The whole idea is that it gives you an instantly hit puck with the power that you receive it at. So if you have a teammate downfield who's open, use your one-timer, get it to him if you can. You can create so many great plays with one-timer passing. As you see here on this play, Shaftman saw that I was open downfield. He just sat there with his one-timer open, hoping that his teammate would pass it to him. He did, and he got it straight downfield to me. The easiest scoring chance that you could possibly set up for a teammate. No one's ready for that on the defense. It was perfectly executed play by Shaftman. Another way that you can use one-timer passing that's extremely effective, especially against like set defenses,
Really nice
is
play
as a
right
third
there.
man.
They need to do.
So if the support's kind of around the perimeter, looking for something, nothing's really open, maybe they're clogging the crease, nobody on the
Really
third
nice play
man,
right there.
get a strong pass over to your third man. He uses one-timer, he gets it down into the crease, makes the goalie use his shield, creates a little chaos. Very tough for a defense to stop those. Not used enough. There are some players who use them very frequently. For example, I think Vile is very good as a third man using one-timer passes. As you can see on those
Vile, another
previous
nice
two
one-timer
clips,
pass.
Vile actually both in
That.
the same game using
Both their
the
goals
one-timer
came
passes
from
third man,
first
and
time
his
it was
EHL
one
game getting
against
2
Protos
assists with them.
Swift.
Great job by
And
him
both
on those
times
2
he moved
plays,
up
and he does it
and,
very
that
frequently in
shot
in-houses.
top post.
It's very effective. Obviously, he knows this, and I think more and more people are going to start using it all the more often. So finishing up with one-timer, let's look at how to use it in dribbling and clearing the puck. So here's an example of how one-timer can be used in dribbling or even in clearing the puck. So you see I'll hit the puck out in front of me, then I'll use, I gotta wait for the cooldown, use one-timer, just hit it a little bit far in front of me. Let's see again. Wait for that cooldown to expire. Alright, there we go. See that? Choose one-timer, easily hit the puck in front of you, or hit it away from you if you're clearing the puck on defense. See? Very useful. I think a lot of new players don't really use one-timer for anything other than shooting. Probably don't realize how useful it can be in all elements of the game, really. So let's finish up with some review of the cooldowns and the timings of one-timer. Just take a few seconds to read this and go over it, and then we'll move on to the next ability, Boost. So because the boost mechanics are a little different for goalie, I'm only going to stick to talking about skating for now. We'll get into goaltending in a future episode. So with boost, there's 2 keys. The first one is that you can only boost in the direction that you're facing. So if you want to boost in the direction that you're not facing, you have to turn, obviously. So as you can see on this infamous play from the Season 9 playoffs when Sir, who, by the way, is a great player. Everybody makes mistakes, even a player of the caliber of Sir. He was the last man back on defense. He wanted to boost back for the puck, but he didn't turn in time to boost for the puck. He was facing the wrong direction, so he boosted down and away from the puck,
Sir,
gave
what a
Nova a
horrible
huge breakaway,
mistake,
which he
giving
turned
Nova-
into a goal. You don't want to do that, so make sure you're always facing the way that you want to boost. It's the key. It's the most important thing about boosting. And the other one is that boost is in conjunction with your forward momentum. So what I mean by that is that when you boost, you want to make sure that you're basically at the max speed that you can skate at. If you boost when you're stopped, you'll kind of like sputter out. If you boost with just a little bit of forward momentum, you won't get that maximum speed boost and the maximum length on your boost that you want. Another important thing to keep in mind with boost is not to waste it, because it's so important. It makes it so much more difficult to defend properly, to score, if you don't have your boost ready and off of cooldown. So Zach and Elder are going to help me out here. We're going to go over a play where a player wasted his boost on defense and it almost cost his team big time.
Alright. The biggest thing that
all the top players have taught me whenever I ask for advice, whenever I'm in a slump, is just stop using boost all the time. Honestly, only use your boost when you have to. Save it for when it's needed, and it's going to help you control the pace of the game a lot better. If you're constantly spamming boost everywhere, you're never going to be where you need to be when you need to be there.
Yeah, it's true. So let's see what Reshiral did on this play, because I'm pretty sure he wasted his boost on defense for no reason. Let's
Yeah,
see.
he did. I don't know why he boosted. I actually have no idea.
So he's in a decent position right here to defend Vapor. The pass isn't. I mean, you could hit this pass, but it's really hard. He's kind of defending it pretty
Yes.
well. So yeah, I have no idea why he boosted here. It makes no
Because he sucks.
It might have made
I'm
sense
just joking.
to boost towards Umbreon, maybe to go for the puck.
Yes.
It made no sense to boost this way at all. It was just a complete waste of his ability.
Another option he could have done, and this is probably something I would do once I saw the pass to Umbreon was happening, is boost between Umbreon and Vapor.
Right, yeah,
so
that
there's
could have
no
made
quick
sense
one-timer
too.
passes.
Right, so he could have either boosted at Umbreon, try to steal the puck, or he could have boosted in this area in between Vapor and Umbreon, to block the passing lane. Instead, he boosts to the bottom post when there's no threat there. It really makes no sense. I'm speechless about that. It makes
He has kind of taken himself out of the play. I think one big factor we're not keeping in mind, though, if you rewind a little bit, I just noticed this myself. Watch his camera in these last few seconds.
Okay, give me a second.
I don't even know if he has Elder Sage on screen. He might have no idea that Elder's covering Vapor.
Let's see.
So let's just watch this. And the reason I say this, see, like, Elder is almost entirely off screen right now.
Yeah, so you might not even see him in his peripheral vision.
Right, and if he's using a smaller resolution, I know this because I recently upgraded from, like, a shit PC, right? You can't see that far left. He might not even know Elder is there. In which case, boosting the cover Vapor wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but if you put 2 and 2 together, like, Elder has to be somewhere on the ice.
Exactly.
He's probably not at there now.
And you know Elder, he's very defensively
Defensive,
responsible.
yeah.
You should assume that he's going to be back there.
Exactly. But, I don't know, just a little factor that I don't know if we're keeping in mind. He might not even see Elder, and
Yeah,
that
but-
comes down to rank vision.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, even if he doesn't see him, that's still his responsibility to know where your teammate is.
100%.
So that was just a terrible play, boosting that for no reason.
Yes.
It gave them a decent scoring opportunity. They didn't convert on it, but if Vapor hit the shot there, it would have went in. So the two keys are make sure you're facing the way you want to boost, and make sure you have good forward momentum going in the way you want to boost. So the next ability you have to know about is Slide Stop. Slide Stop is hotkey X if you're using the bottom row hotkeys, W if you're using the top row. The cooldown, it's about 1 second. I think it's slightly less than a second. It doesn't exactly say how long it is. What you have to know about Slide Stop is that you use it virtually every time you change directions. So if you're a new player, get into the habit of using Slide Stop every time you change directions. Very important, very key. I see lots of new players not using Slide Stop, or at least not using it nearly as much as they have to. So make sure you're using it frequently. So another time you want to use Slide Stop is on face-offs. So when you're battling for the puck on the face-off, make sure you're using Slide Stop in conjunction with your right click. It'll give you a little tiny speed boost that can give you the edge to get to the puck. Another ability you should know about is Stop. I mean, it seems obvious, the S hotkey. Mainly useful for goalie because it controls your movements like kind of how Slide Stop does. There are some advanced plays you can pull off with S alone, but we're not going to go too much into that right now. We'll save that for a later episode. And the last ability you have to know about, it's kind of a hidden ability, I would call it a hidden ability, is Instant Stop. So how do you instant stop? You press stop and you press Slide Stop at the same time. So if you're using the bottom row hotkeys, that's X plus S. If you're using the top row, that's W plus S, and you come to an instant stop. Very useful, mainly in two ways. One is third man to like stop kind of in that triangle formation at the top of the key, and on like a 2v1, 2v0 breakaway, you instant stop in front of the crease so you don't bounce off of it, so you can collect the pass from your teammate. So those are the two times that you really want to use instant stop. It's third man, setting up at the top of the key to receive a pass, to just set yourself for transition defense, and on breakaways to collect the puck, to prevent yourself from bouncing off the crease. Instant stop, remember, X plus S or W plus S if you're using the top row hotkeys. This concludes the first half of episode number 1. In the next half, we'll go over breakaways, rotation, and drills, finishing with a preview of episode number 2. Thanks for watching. See you next time on Mondays with Mets.
Puck has some room. Waits, takes the pass, one time.
Oh, sir, what a horrible mistake. Giving over a breakaway!
To keep their team alive. Can they do it? Does Ellerson take the shot? A big save from Ellerson.
Try to find a lane, take his time. Hit the snipe again!
That. It's always a tough thing when one skater against you. And oh no! Shackman took a long snipe.